I can see it almost in the distance starting there.
It happens once every year around Easter. The hunt is on to find where herring have laid their eggs. Aerial surveys are taken to determine the extent of the spawn around the east coast of Vancouver Island. The sperm from the males is seen spread over the areas where the herring eggs have already been laid. Fertilization is taking place, and this is the best time to count the herring. The Herring Conservation and Research Society conducts research from above and below, where divers venture out to count the egg distribution in a given area.
We expect it to be quite heavy here based on the fact that there's 2 or 3 days of spawn activity where the planes and the boats have been seeing the spawn in the water.
Today they are near Bowser on the east coast of Vancouver Island. It is exciting times for all. Nature comes alive at this time, and the sea lions seem to be the happiest of all. Seabirds dine on the herring eggs as the shores offer up an egg banquet.
These are the data sheets for that the divers use underwater to record the data from the transects that are plotted basically every 350 meters along the shore throughout every area where there's been herring spawn.
This is pretty good herring spawn. You can see that all of these eggs are alive. The densities are about right. When you start getting up to 8 to 10 layers, there's a possibility that sometimes there could be smothering, but this is just ideal. In terms of the distribution of spawn, I think there's still close to 80 nautical miles of spawn. So that's pretty darn good in terms of total amounts. These eggs are, right now, they're probably in something called an early blastula stage. And pretty soon, in about a couple of days, the thing is what we call full circle, and you can see a nice little embryo, and you see 2 big eyes, and these eyes will be moving around. And roughly after about 2 weeks, they'll hatch into larvae.
We expect the juveniles to stay within the Strait of Georgia in their first year of life, and they leave the Strait of Georgia the second year of life when they overwinter in the banks off the west coast of Vancouver Island, and they start moving in to spawn again in the Strait of Georgia when they're 3 years old. So generally the older herring spawn first, and the younger herring are the second wave that come in, and just again, judging by the strength of the second wave of spawning that we're seeing this year in the Strait of Georgia, the recruitment this year could be quite good. Herring Conservation Research Society, or HCRS, is a non-profit society formed in 1996, and the goal of the society is to ensure conservation of the stocks and to fund research to ensure the sustainable management of the fishery. These herring spawn surveys are funded by DFO, but the survey itself is managed and implemented according to standardized DFO survey designs by the HCRS. And the purpose of the surveys really is to ensure an adequate accounting of the stocks. So the spawn survey is part of that, literally going out and counting the layers of eggs and the extent of it. So we want to know how many fish exactly were there, and the purpose of it is to ensure the sustainable management of the fishery. Fishermen are in this business for the long haul, so they want to see that things are managed in a conservative and precautionary and sustainable manner.
There's been a young woman who's just finished a master's degree at the University of BC in physical oceanography. She did her analysis looking at where herring spawn and where the larvae go. And we compared her data looking at the oceanographic currents governed by tides and winds. And in fact, it matches very closely with the kinds of analysis we did years ago about where herring spawn and where the larvae go as a consequence of that. It is mostly on the east side of Vancouver Island, And it would be nice if there was more spawn over on the west side, but for all we know, there could be. What we do know is that the resources to do herring spawn surveys in the last few years have been severely cut back. People are doing the best they can, and the surveys along here are good, but in fact there haven't been enough resources to look at all of the places all of the time. And so in part, we might not be seeing herring spawn in some areas because we're not looking enough. That's another possibility.
You forgot the salad.
It's crunchy.
Go for it, Gary. Doesn't need salt.
No.
It's like chewing bubble wrap.
Oh, nice. It is.
It's got a fishy aftertaste.